This is the story of one of the most famous prophets of the Old Testament, Prophet Isaiah, who also foretold the suffering of Jesus Christ, and whose prophecies always came true. Without fear, he criticized the decisions of the kings and predicted tragedies for Israel if they continued on their wrong path. There are more than 65 references to Isaiah in the New Testament, and Isaiah is mentioned more than 20 times. According to traditional stories, Isaiah met his end in a horrible manner, being sawed in half by King Manasseh. Isaiah, the son of Amoz, one of the most well-known prophets of truth in the Old Testament, began his prophecy during the days of King Uzziah in 745 BC. He predicted God's judgment upon the king and the people through his prophecies. He was a central prophet of the Old Testament, alongside prophets like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. His ministry unfolded during the turbulent times of the kingdom of Judah, which spread over the reigns of kings like Uzziah. Isaiah willingly accepted his prophetic mission because he recognized the moral condition of his people at that time, which led him to want to save them from the coming tragedy. Beyond the social corruption he witnessed, he also saw the debauchery of the rulers, the decadence of the rich, and the superstitions and idolatry of the entire population. At the same time, he saw the growing strength in the approach of the Assyrian conqueror to the land of Israel and connected the two, saying that the sins of the people would lead to their destruction. Isaiah was involved in the politics of the kings, and perhaps under his influence, King Hezekiah began his religious reform to purify idolatry. But on the other hand, Hezekiah did not heed Isaiah's political advice and rebelled against Assyria, for which he paid a high price. King Hezekiah, a descendant of David, inherited a sinful and corrupt kingdom during a period of significant changes in the political landscape. Before his eyes, the kingdom of Israel fell into the hands of Assyria, which threatened to continue its occupation and destroy his kingdom as well. Hezekiah prepared for a general rebellion and a long siege in Jerusalem, but at the same time, he was also ready to submit and send a message of surrender. In one of Isaiah's prophecies, written in chapter 36, it is said that Sennacherib went to war to restore his rule and kill those who had rebelled against him. As a result, King Hezekiah went to the house of God and prayed there. From there, he even sent a message to prophet Isaiah to pray as well. Isaiah intervened to help Hezekiah and prophesied that the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, would eventually leave the land and be killed at home, and as it happened, in the end, Sennacherib's sons killed him. After Hezekiah's death, his son Manasseh took the throne at the age of 12 and became the king of Israel. Manasseh did evil in the sight of God. He was the most wicked king and was drawn to idolatry. He erected altars for Baal and Asherah. Using his prophets, God revealed a judgment against Manasseh. God said that Manasseh would fall into the hands of his enemies. The reign of Manasseh is described in 2 Kings 21 and 2 Chronicles 33. The books describe Israel and its king worshiping idols, believing in sorcerers, committing violence, and persecuting prophets. During this time, Manasseh, the king of Judah, played a significant role in the chain of kings responsible for the destruction of the temple and the exile of Judah. He was king for 55 years, longer than any other king in Judah and Israel. He was even described as the most evil king who harmed his people and their faith in God. His sins left a lasting impression on the nation even after his death, and during his reign, a decree of exile was pronounced on the kingdom of Judah. Perhaps for this reason, the Bible dedicates only a few verses to him. In the book of Kings, only 18 verses are dedicated to him, and in the book of Chronicles, only 20. For comparison, let's remember that Ahab, who reigned for less than half of Manasseh's reign, 22 years, has 5 chapters dedicated to him in the book of Kings. The scriptures describe Manasseh's reaction to those who oppose his policies, especially the prophets who rose against him. Manasseh persecuted God's prophets and their followers, killing them because they opposed his idolatrous policies. According to tradition, King Hezekiah, the father of Manasseh, married the daughter of prophet Isaiah, making Manasseh the grandson of prophet Isaiah, whom he also killed in the end. According to the Jewish Talmud and other ancient sources, the final moments of Isaiah are described as his attempts to escape his fate because King Manasseh pursued him to death. In the story of his final moments, Isaiah's life became bitter and tragic due to the persecution by King Manasseh, who feared for his throne. Manasseh challenged prophet Isaiah to provide evidence supporting Moses' prophecies, particularly the prophecy in which Isaiah claimed to have seen God. This contradicted Moses' words that no man shall see God and live, although Moses himself saw God on Mount Sinai, as written in Exodus 24, verse 10. Isaiah, instead of responding, which would have led to his immediate death, decided to flee. According to this legend, during his escape, the prophet saw a cedar tree, called upon the name of God, and was immediately swallowed by it. King Manasseh ordered the tree to be sawed in half, thus killing the prophet. Miraculously, the tree was not sawed until they reached the place where the prophet's lips were, at which point the miracle ended, the tree was sawed, and the prophet was killed. Other stories tell that Isaiah was imprisoned inside a hollow tree trunk and sawed in half. Sawing someone in half is a painful execution method known since ancient times, which can be carried out in different ways, vertically or horizontally, from head to toe. Some sources claim that such cruel methods were used in different periods. Isaiah faced challenges and opposition, particularly from those in power. He criticized the decisions of the kings, predicted tragedies, and urged Israel to seek God first. However, his messages were often ignored. King Manasseh, in particular, rejected Isaiah's teachings, leading to increased apostasy and persecution of the righteous. Isaiah's role was not only as a preacher under the aggressive Assyrian Empire. He presided over a crisis that left a lasting mark on Israel's history. According to Isaiah, leadership would be destroyed because they were too self-confident and did not trust in God's solutions. They relied on their military power and alliances with foreign nations, but not on God's guidance. And this was the sin of human pride. Isaiah also prophesied and referred to the end of days, which is connected to the day of judgment. He truly longed for a world in which goodness and justice would prevail, a world where people would stand up for the oppressed, protect the wounded, and provide shelter to widows and orphans. Reflecting on Isaiah's journey, we hear the echo of his courage in our own lives. In a world full of challenges and uncertainties, the memory of his unwavering dedication serves as a beacon of hope. Inspired by his story, a group of individuals from different walks of life come together, determined to make a difference. They recognize that, despite the adversities, they have the strength and conviction to bring about positive change. Isaiah's legacy, therefore, lives on not only in words, but through the actions of those he inspired. His desire for a world governed by goodness and justice resonates in the daily actions of ordinary people who choose to stand up, protect, and shelter. In the end, Isaiah's story does not end with him. It continues in each of us, reminding us of the power of faith, hope, and determination in facing adversity to build a better future.